Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot. It's your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. We are all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message resonates, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while remembering that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing today, and I'm honored to have you here. Now, a couple of things. The wind is blowing, so you might hear the awning move around a little bit. It's not too crazy for me to put it back in, but sometimes it does make noise, and so you guys might hear that. We are going over the what impression do you leave people with. This was a channeled message that I got today, so I guess somebody needs to hear it. And I'm also getting this feeling that I need to do things a little bit differently on this reading. So I was really called to using the Wild Unknown Tarot to choose from as an overall energy that you give as leaving an impression with. So we're going to be using that today. It is by Kim Krans. I highly recommend investing in this if you are someone who collects tarot decks and don't have it. It is such a beautiful deck. It's a lot of fun to work with. Let me grab an incense, as I forgot to pull one out. Never fear. We're all here. All right, so let us hop to your prayer, and then we'll go ahead and get this reading underway. I feel super energetic today. I hope everybody else is feeling energetic as well. And if not, then I'm sending you a prayer of energy and vitality. So let's do that. All right, my beloved source, this prayer is for any and all who come onto this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. Today, fill us with energy. Fill us with light. Fill us with the excitement of life. Sometimes life can feel like we're stagnant or stuck, and that is just an essence or a feeling that is moving through us right now. Energy that is needing to be cleared out. We're never truly stuck unless we believe we are. We can always make a decision right now to change our trajectory. And today I ask that if anybody here is feeling bogged down or like they're running or trying to run through molasses, that you help them make the best possible decision for themselves so that they can move about their journey with ease and have this reminder of internal strength and see the truth that they are resilient and capable of overcoming any challenges that may present themselves along this journey. We never know what's going to happen next, but we can rest easy and knowing that you will always walk us and be with us through each and every moment in our lives. And for that, we're deeply grateful and so honored to be sharing this journey with someone as yourself, being there, holding our hands, and in some cases, carrying us through. As these words are spoken upon this tribe and onto this reading, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. So, really quickly, I was out on a walk the other day, and this strange bird totally flew really close. I have a thing with birds. I wish I could tell you what it is, but birds, they apparently love me. One time I had a hawk follow me on a walk. It was flying really low above my head. Like if I had reached out my arm, I could have probably touched it. That's how low it was. And it followed me for a good quarter of a mile, just flying over my head, not in a hurry, just kind of coasting along. And I had an owl one morning follow me. It landed on house when I was living in this neighborhood. It landed on the roof of the house, so it would fly ahead of me. It would land on the house that was maybe a couple of houses in front of me, and then it would fly to one further once I caught up to it. And it did this for the entirety of my walk. It was a white owl. It was absolutely gorgeous. Eagles find me And so I feel like birds are really significant for this reading today for some reason, which is kind of funny. But the other day I was walking and same thing, this bird was like swooped in so low. Literally, its shadow is what drew me to it, to looking right up, and it was so close. Again, I probably could have reached out and touched it. It was so close, and it swooped up onto the light pole that was right where I was standing at. And I was like, I'd never seen a bird like that before. My family member was like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, it looks kind of like a falcon. And they were like, no, that's not a falcon. I was like, no, it's too small to be an eagle. And it's not a brown eagle because it had white on it. And I was like, but it looked like a falcon. It's too big to be a hawk. And I was like, I think that's a falcon or a version of a falcon. So I took a picture of it. And when I got back, I was researching it. And it's the caraway. I think it's now I can't even remember the name of it. It's a cacara, C-A-C-A, something like that. Cacara falcon. And it is a falcon. But it's like something about a rebirth and a new beginning. And I thought that was really interesting that it came up, and why they're asking me to talk about it now, I have no idea. So as a collective, I feel like there's just a vastly new beginning. And so why we're doing this reading right now is because you're actually leaving incredibly new impressions on people because you've changed. And that shift is starting to impact the people not only that have known you for a long time, but even new people that are coming in. And so your impressions are actually maybe vastly different than what you expected them to be, even though you might have an intuitive notion as to the type of energy that you're putting out there for people, right? So let's find out. We'll move on. I don't know. I just needed to talk about it, I guess. Who knows? Source was just kind of poking at me to talk about it, so we're just going to go with it. Maybe someone else needed to. I will do my best. I cannot make any promises, but I will do my best to comment what the bird is. It's like a cacara. It's cacara falcon or something like that. I have it saved on my phone. And I totally didn't look it up because I wasn't planning on talking about it. And so, but it was a really pretty bird. It was really unique. They're also interesting about them is that they are known as both hunters. They're a bird of prey. They're both hunters and they're scavengers. But they fall more in line with scavengers because they don't really fly super high. And they actually spend an exorbitant amount of time walking on the ground. And they will be found a lot with buzzards or with vultures. And so their face actually has a lack of feathers on it because, not to get too gruesome, but because that's why vultures don't have a lot of feathers on their face. It's just so for cleanliness, so that their feathers don't get dirty or, you know, carry bits and pieces of what they eat and stuff like that. And so they've evolved and they've lost the feathers across their face, but it actually makes them really more attractive. At least I feel like they're actually very beautiful birds. So just interesting. I feel like with vultures coming out too, it's just that reminder that nothing is wasted. And so even if you left bad impressions or heavy impressions in the past, that none of that truly matters because there's something new that's forming around you. A new version of yourself is coming through. But let's hop to it and see. So pile number 1, what impressions do you leave people with? What tarot card is going to help us better understand the overall energy, or what impressions you leave people with? Pile 1. Okay, it's this one right here. Thank you, Source. All right, pile number 2. What impression do you leave people with? What tarot card is going to help us better understand this message today, Source? Pile number 2. What impressions do you leave people with? What tarot card is going to give us a better understanding of this overall energy? Thank you. All right, pile number 3. What impressions do you leave people with? What impressions do you leave people with, Source? What tarot card is going to help us better understand this message today? Thank you. All right, overall energy, the collective energy. I am loving this. Strength. So what overall impression do you leave people with is how strong you are. You take on anything and everything. You also exude a lot of confidence and a lot of, no matter what comes up in my day-to-day life, I'm going to be able to face it. I'm going to be able to overcome it. And I'm going to be able to experience what I need to experience to gain the wisdom that I need. And I feel like also there's a purity of soul that's coming in with this, where you leave this essence of lightheartedness, and you leave people with the impression that no matter how hard life gets, you're still going to be a kind person. You're still going to be a compassionate and generous person. And you may even be so, more so to strangers than you are to the people who you know. And that's not a bad thing. I feel like strangers feel this more because they're strangers and there's no reason for you to necessarily treat them that way, but you still do because it's who you are at your core. You could have a lot of Leo placements in your chart. You don't have to, but you could have a Leo sun, moon, rising. You could also have Mercury in Leo, and you could also have a lot of first house placements, okay? But there's also this energy that's coming in where you give off the impression of a very spiritual presence, of a guide, of someone who knows things that you're not supposed to know. You tap into people's energies. You're very empathic, but also a leader, not someone to be messed with, not someone to be, fooled around with either, like trying to manipulate or anything like that. So you're very regal in your essence and how you're moving forward. And oftentimes you might also see where there are people who get irritated with you, but they often leave quickly. And the reason being is because you're giving off such a powerful energy and a powerful essence that instead of where maybe before people were attacking you because they felt that you were weak or they felt like they could exploit your vulnerabilities, now people recognize, like, I cannot approach them because they're too strong for me. They've got too much going on for them, or they're going to bite back. They're not going to take it, what I have to give. And a lot of people that attack others, they're doing it because they're expecting them not to get it back in return, right? The weak prey, or the strong prey on the weak, and they view you as someone who's strong that would have the ability to completely annihilate them. And that's the impression that you leave with people. Again, it sounds like heavy, but it's not. It's a very powerful energy that you're giving off. I feel like people feel that they can trust you. They can come to you when they have any kind of questions, or they can come to you for advice. But they also know that sometimes that you're not going to just give them exactly what they want, but you will always offer options and guidance when at all possible. Strength is the mastery of emotions. It says it's common to think of this card as the roaring, devouring side of the lion, but look again. The strength this card suggests is a much deeper force that's found within. The lion represents our most patient, composed self. He's a master of focus, compassion, and self-control. When this card comes up, you're in need of harnessing this power for yourself. All the courage you need can be found in the muscle known as the heart. So connected with your heart, again, living from that place of kindness and compassion, it's very overwhelming, that energy. It's like getting blasted with love. That's the impression that you leave people with, is like getting blasted with love, but not toxic love, and not codependent love, and not an expectant love, just encompassing, like all-encompassing love, where it's like, I see you as you are, I have no expectations, and if anything becomes unbalanced, that mastery of self actually allows you to rebalance yourself by either removing yourself, setting boundaries, or saying what needs to be said. And that's what impression you leave on people. Wow, how strong. All right. Now, today I felt really called, for whatever reason, to using all of my, well, they're not all of, but I have these rose quartz to choose from. And I thought that was really interesting that Source wanted everyone to have rose quartz today, but they're just different versions of rose quartz, different pieces. So let me make sure we're in frame. Okay, for pile 1, we've got this dice with the 7th house for you to choose from. Or we have this beautiful piece of raw rose quartz that you can choose from. Now, this is my fairy rose quartz. This was left to me by a fairy, and I was a pleasant surprise when I was staying in Rockport. I walked outside and it was right there on my step. Very magical. All right, pile 2, we have this dice also with the 7th house on it for you to choose from. We have this rose quartz for you to choose from. Pile number 3, we have this dice with the 2nd house for you to choose from. Or we have this rose quartz for you to choose from. So pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 7th house on it, or perhaps you were called to this piece of raw rose quartz, or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on what impression do you leave people with. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, remembering that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Now, your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm so grateful to have you here. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out. What impression do you leave people with, pile 1? What impression do you leave people with? Source, what would you like to share with us for pile 1 today? Thank you. So we've got the 3rd house. We have Cancer energy and Jupiter. You leave this impression that you're incredibly intelligent and also emotionally intelligent. You have a lot of emotional maturity, and that you're lucky that you have this emotional maturity. Like, you're not someone that people see getting involved in a codependent issue or a codependent situation. And maybe there have been people out and about, right? This could be people who've known you for a while. This could be new people. It's just the impression that you leave anybody with. And what they see is that they recognize that you're not just going to jump into a connection with somebody. You take your time to really find out, is this someone that's worthy of my love? Is this someone that's worthy of my time and my energy? And you give off this essence of nurturing and deep compassion, but also healing. People, when they are around you, they feel like they're healing from their own codependency, or they feel like they're healing from their own misunderstandings of love. And they feel lucky to be around you. So whenever you're in their presence, they just feel like they can bask in that. And I feel like a lot of people might pick your brain a lot, or like try to have conversations with you about certain things. Like they just want to hear what you have to say because they love the way you see the world. It is very open and very encompassing, and you're not judgmental of others. It's not that you don't have I feel like you have a very good gift of discernment, but that discernment isn't judgment. And it hasn't led to judgment of others. It's like if someone's doing something or says something that you disagree with, you're someone that holds space for them. It's fine that we disagree. We don't have to agree. There's no law in the world that says that we have to agree. And I'm not going to chastise you for believing something different than I do. I'm not going to argue with you for believing something that I do. I'm just going to allow you to be who you are. So this place of really divine acceptance that's coming through. And I feel like people get very attached very quickly to you because of that. That makes them feel seen and heard and understood. And even if you see the world differently than them, you're a first time in their life that hasn't put them down for seeing it differently. And so they want more of that. They want to be seen like that. And so they're always trying to ask you questions to garner information or to understand where it is that you're coming from. I also feel like they are left with the impression that you are very family oriented. So maybe you talk a lot about your family, or you're always trying to connect with people like family. You know, there's people out there who really have the gift of gab. Excuse me. I have the hiccups all of a sudden. The gift of gab, but like the gift of making people feel welcome, like you never met a stranger in your life before. And this is the impression that you leave people with. Everybody is family. Everybody is someone who deserves love. Everybody is someone who deserves to be seen. And through that, you're actually giving off a very healing energy. So today I'm going to be using my Tarot Marseille. We're just going to dig in deeper to this and find out more. What impressions do you leave people with? Source, what would you like to share for pile 1? What impression do you leave people with? Okay, thank you. What impression do you leave people with, pile 1? What impression do you leave people with? You guys might hear my AC turning on and off today. It's not cool enough to leave it off, but it's also just not hot enough to have it on all the time. So it's just going to automatically come on and off. What impression do you leave people with? And today I have the opportunity to do reading in silence, which I am totally stoked about. So that's why you don't hear frequencies in the background, but I may have to turn them on later. But right now, no. All right. All right, on the bottom of the deck, we have the Four of Swords in the reverse. Yeah, this is interesting. It's like you help people start over again, or you give courage to people realizing that it's okay to begin again. Like no matter how old they are, like you have such an open door policy about spirituality, about life, about love, about acceptance, about forgiveness. Like all these things, like you're willing to talk about anything and everything, it feels like. And especially when it comes to people who are closest to us with the Four of Swords in the reverse. Like this could be family and friends, social connections that oftentimes try to make people feel small or stuck, or like you can't outgrow the person that you are because we need you to fulfill some role. But because you don't play that game, you're not in that like trying to make people see life the way that you do. You just express yourself honestly and openly. And through that, people who do feel stuck are coming to this place of realizing it's okay for me to start again. So you're actually greatly impacting people and you're helping them heal. And sometimes that healing energy is very overwhelming with the house of God here, but it's also so logical and reasonable and loving that it gives them a place where they can freely accept it. And some people might not accept it. Some people may be very triggered by it and they may take it out on you. But you've come to this place of realizing that how another person is acting or how another person is showing up has nothing to do with you. It's their own internal struggles that they're dealing with, and they're trying to find an outlet to place that onto rather than focusing inward. And you have a very clean sense of what it means to move on. But the impression that you leave with others is that you have experienced life in a cage at some point, and that experience has left you with knowledge of what it means to enjoy and embody freedom. And that has inspired a lot of people to seek that within themselves, to understand that about themselves. Yeah. So this is not surprising to me. The impression is that maybe you share some of your trials and tribulations with others, and maybe you don't. But maybe you have such an understanding, and you are willing to put the shoe on the other foot when people talk about their own lives or when people talk about their own struggles. And the impression that you leave people with is that you know what it means to have had life completely fall apart. You know what it means to have had to be manipulated, or to feel like you weren't good enough, or to feel like you couldn't make it to the next step. And they may even see that. Like there might be some people here who have seen people project onto you and how you have dealt with it in a very classy, graceful, and composed manner. And that impression tells people that you're not afraid of destruction. You're not afraid of change, and you're not afraid of things falling apart. No matter what role they play in your life, you were okay with cutting people out. You were okay with moving on. You were okay with the fluid motion of life. You're not trying to maintain connections for the sake of having fulfilled roles in your life. You're going to move on and fulfill those roles yourself, by yourself if need be. Yeah, you're not trying to conform to some people like what most people do, right? And you are someone who is very much aware of the illusions of others. So there might be an impression here too where some people feel like they can manipulate you. There's an impression where people feel like, oh, I can come up and I can treat, pile one the way that I want to treat them. But then the way you show up is so powerful that everything that they did to you, it gets mirrored back on them tenfold. And suddenly foundations in their life begin to crumble. Ideas that they thought they believed in begin to crumble. And ways of being that they had become accustomed to living in start to crumble. And so you're definitely this shamanistic, it's very shamanistic energy. You could identify with being a shaman or practicing shamanism. You don't have to. It's just that you have that type of energy within you where just being you triggers people, and sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. Sometimes it's got to get worse before it gets better, and some people are living that. And I feel like you have dealt with that your whole life, and that's why it doesn't faze you anymore when people come to you crooked. You've learned how to balance yourself out in situations like that. And so the impression that you leave with others with is that when things fall apart, you don't get stuck there. You just kind of look at it, you look at the destruction, and you dust off the rubble. You say, okay, moving on. I'm going on. And you haven't lost your heart because of that. You're still in a very loving and kind place. And you're still in a giving place. That's why I was saying, like, if you didn't catch the collective message at the beginning, you might have further messages in that as well. So that's timestamped below in the description box. You can definitely check that out if you feel called to it. But I do feel like there's this energy that's coming through as well. It's like that, like you give a very noble or very regal energy, very royal energy as well. So, like spiritual royalty, where it's you had to started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here, like that's the energy here. It's like you spiritually started in demolition and had to build your way up from the ground up, right? And so it's like something or someone demolished you at an early age, and then you had to build your way up. And that could have been some sort of institution. That could have been a home situation. That could have been one of your first jobs. That could have been school. It could have been church. It could have been some sort of gathering or community here. But it's like, I feel like the impression that you leave people with is this, that you have gone to something that was socially acceptable, and that socially accepted place some way, some form broke you or gave the illusion of breaking you, and you had to overcome that challenge, and you did. And that is what's left you with this, I don't look back anymore. I keep staying in this present moment. And that's what also triggers a lot of people into healing. So it's like triggers are actually healing, right? Whether we want to admit that or not, but that's true. It's like the more shadow work you do, the more you realize that your triggers are here to heal you, to help you rebalance your energy. And you're like a walking trigger, but you're a walking bundle of love too. Like you blast people with love, you blast people with kindness, and you're not like it's. So it's not you're walking up to people like, darn you, you need to heal because you're absolutely absurd and you're doing this and you're acting crazy. Like that's not how you do it. You just walk up and you're like, oh hey, how are you doing today? And just your energy totally blows their aura away and forces them into a state of healing. So it's all done on a spiritual level. But the impression is that some people love you and some people cannot stand you. But everybody that comes into contact with you, Pile 1, has experienced healing of some sort. So yeah, on the bottom, we have Jupiter and Leo with publicity. Yeah, worldwide. You're seen as the star for a lot of people. Like they really admire you. They really like coming to you and asking you for help. They really like being in your essence. Like there's a lot of people who are ready to receive that healing. They didn't know they needed it until they met you. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. I'm so glad Pile 1 exists. But the same thing with Leo energy here, it's like some people really love Leos. They're brave hearts. They're very loyal. But there's also a lot of people who don't like Leos because they talk about themselves. They can be self-centered and they can be overdramatic. But it's the same with anybody, right? And that's the thing here. And so I feel like that's what's coming through here, is recognizing that you're stepping into this leader position and you are impacting everybody you connect with on a public level. Like it's not just at home or work. It's like at the store. It's everywhere you go. You leave people with this renewed sense of self, whether they're ready to accept it or not. Libra, consideration, fairness, and harmony. Yeah, you're a very balanced person. And balance is interesting in a world that's either one or the other, right? We're either on this side or we're either on this side. Like to have somebody who walks the middle line that can be really triggering in and of itself too, because it's like, I don't know why I'm hearing right-wingers or left-wingers, not necessarily politics, but just in life in general. You know how there's like people who like, no, I only believe in all that's on this side, and I can't even look at what's on this side, and the vice versa, right? I only believe everything that's on this side, and I won't even look at things that are on this side. But you're like, well, let me take information from both and see how that, impacts my life. So that balance in and of itself triggers people, because you are the embodiment of learning from both sides, right? There is no right or wrong. There's a balance here. And that's how you're seeing it. It's like, I can see your point, but I also see their point. And that might make people really uncomfortable, because they're so used to being either greatly opposed or accepted and agreed with, and you're neither or, right? That's it. You're not in either, like, I totally agree with you or I totally disagree with you. I just see both sides. Yeah, I'm not surprised that Chiron came out here. Hurt and heal. Yeah, you are a walking trigger. And, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to say, like, oh my gosh, like, how could you know? Like, we need your energy. Like, the world needs your energy, pile one, for sure. Because you being you is what elicits change in people. They would not have otherwise changed without having to connect with you. And that's because you've experienced a lot of harrowing experiences in your own life. And there could have been times when you were a perpetrator, and also times when you were a victim, and having lived in both roles gives you valuable insight to both sides of the story. And so that's why it's like hard for you to just say, everybody that says like narcissists are evil, right? And it's like, for you, I feel like and this is just an example, right? But for you, it's more like, narcissists are made, and I see how they're made, and I can see how the world continues to make narcissists because of how disconnected the world is. But I also recognize the power in walking in a state of love and unconditional love, and what that can bring into your life as well. And so it's like you're seeing both sides. It's not that you're agreeing with one over the other. It's just you see both sides of it. You could put the shoe on the other foot. So we have Meadow here with vulnerability. Yeah, you're very vulnerable with so many people, and that's the impression, is that your vulnerability, but it's not a weakness. So if people have tried, again, like people have tried to manipulate you, you completely demolish them. And that's the thing. It's like you're so powerful and you're so grounded in who you are that it's okay for you to share your vulnerabilities, knowing that no one has the power to manipulate you into doing something that you don't want to do. And I feel like that is also empowering to people, because that impression where it's like, I'm willing to share that soft side of myself, knowing that I'm the one that protects that reminds people that vulnerabilities aren't a weakness, and that they can be vulnerable too. And so you leave a safe space for people to share that. Yeah, you're very, very, very powerful, right? With Dragonfly Emergence, you're also transcending illusions. That's the thing. It's like we saw that with the 9 of Coins. Like, you see beyond the illusions of the physical world. Like, you don't get caught up in all the arguments that people are saying. Like, you don't get caught up in all these ridiculous fights that people are having about beliefs and how things should be, and you're right and I'm wrong, and I'm big and you're little, and I'm smart and you're stupid. Like, that stuff doesn't even matter to you. Because it's like, we need to understand how we are, not how we can make others feel wrong for trying to be right. And that's the thing. And that's such a powerful place to come from. You're walking in your intuition and your guidance, and you are of both the water and the earth. And so it's showing that you can ground yourself emotionally in this world from a very intelligent place. And we were saying that at the beginning with the dice, this emotional intelligence that you have. And it could be something that you've always had, but I feel like for most of you, it's something that you had to learn, and you learned it in very difficult ways. That is what this feels like here. All right, so let's get some more out here. What impression do you leave people with, pile 1? Okay, thank you. Bottom of the deck, Death. I am learning that endings are merely new beginnings. That's this tower, or the House of God energy, what you might know as a tower. That's what this is. It's like you totally tear down things that trigger, right? Healing. Some people are ready for it. Other people are completely blindsided by it. Okay. And it's neither here nor there. It's not good or bad. It's just the energy that you exude. And that impression is that there's some people who really love you because they feel like they have been enlightened and have had a load taken off their shoulders. And then there's others who recognize just how heavy the burdens they're carrying are. They can no longer hide from themselves. And that brings with it, regardless of how they see you, that naturally brings with it a transformation. And that can be overwhelming, right? As I'm sure you've realized on your own journey, right? Anytime we do shadow work or anytime we're trying to heal, it is overwhelming, but it can also be very freeing at the same time. Okay, so you're going to get 2 of these today. On the bottom, we have Midas and Miser. Light attributes are entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything into gold, delight in sharing life's riches. And that's you. You share the wisdom. You share the knowledge. You share the understanding. You share love. You're in this state of constant giving, but you also give to yourself. And the shadow is hoarding money and emotions, obsessive fear of losing your wealth. So there's a lot of people who they're bothered by this Midas touch, okay? Like turning everything into gold, turning everything into luck, turning everything into love. They're hoarding, or they're trying to come back to this state of ignorance, right? Ignorance is bliss until you know. And you can't go to unknowing. Like, no matter how hard you try, you can't go to unknowing. What impressions do you leave people with? Okay. We have Capricorn. Buckle down and get to work. Yeah, you've worked hard to get to where you are on your journey. You could have Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, Gemini, Sagittarius, highly aspect in your chart. I heard Gemini in the 4th house. Mercury in the 4th house, and I'm also hearing Saturn in the 7th house is coming through. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys had the 7th house to choose from. Then we also have Aries energy here with blazing new trails. Yeah, you're very worldly and you're helping people see from a new perspective. That's the impression you leave people with. It's okay to see the world differently. Yeah, I'm not surprised Malefics came up here. Beware of challenges. This is what I was saying. Like, there's some people who can't stand you. And it's not, again, it's nothing to do with you. It's the fact that your spirit, your soul, the way you were designed, asks them to step up, right? Come correct or don't come at all. And that can be really irritating for people. So when you're changing and you continue to raise your vibration, and you're letting go and you're evolving and spiritually you're growing, right? The more you're going to affect people. And there are going to be some people who you are so much higher vibration than them that all they're going to be is that Malefics energy, right? Coming into that challenges and not seeing the benefit of healing. They're only going to be seeing the fact that now they can't go to unknowing. And that is really hard for people. When you don't want to know, you don't want to know, right? Okay, so on the bottom of the deck, we have care, teach, accompany, assist, and support. You do it all from a loving place. You're a very loving person. You're a very kind heart. And you are teaching people how to heal just by being you. And the impression that you leave is care. You care. You also help light this fire in people. And that's the thing. I'm lighting this fire in the darkness, right? It's a bonfire at night. We have carnival, celebration, and ceremony. And this is something that I feel like there are a lot of people who are willing to celebrate this change. And they really do appreciate you. But there are always going to be those people who don't. And not being so caught up on those people too. Because I feel like sometimes it hurts when people, you know, treat you this way, but remembering that it's your spirit. Like, you can't change who you are just because it bothers some people's life or because it bothers the way that people see the world and they don't want to change, right? It's like, I feel like why politics and religion might be coming up a lot here. It's like, those are the two things that everybody says don't discuss. But it's like also the two things that when we don't discuss it makes us even feel more alienated from one another, because it's like, oh no, we can't talk about that because people don't leave space for differences. But you're leaving that space for differences, and it doesn't have to be politics and religions. This is just the example they're showing. And when you're leaving that space for others, it makes them feel better about themselves. But some people, you leave that space and they feel like, oh, this is space for me to trample all over the way that you believe because I'm the only one that's right. But we know that that's not how this world works, right? So not taking it personally, you not taking those situations personally is actually what gives a lot of people courage to continue to share who they are as well. Honesty. Yeah. I can't always expect truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. You come from a very honest and integral place within your heart. Like you're always sharing yourself. That's a part of your vulnerability, right? You're an earth angel. Yes, I love this. You're very accepting of everybody and where they're at. That doesn't mean that you're inviting anyone and everyone in either, right? You have the gift of discernment. So it says helping those in need with no expectation of return, and the shadow is acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. Yeah, so you're definitely seen in that impression like you're an angel, you're a gift. People are really mostly happy to meet you. They really like to bask in your wisdom and in your emotional intelligence. And I feel like regardless of your age, you're very young. You have a very young heart, but you have a very old soul. And that old soul leaves people reeling. Seeker, yeah, you're a seeker of truth. You thirst for wisdom and truth wherever you are, and the shadow is the inability to commit to a path once found. And that's the people who get triggered the most. Like they're just unable to commit to the journey, or they're not being honest with themselves, or they're not healing, right? Like you are all these things, and that either gives people space to step into that powerful place, or it is something that is of a repellent and it really repels others away. And that's okay. Exactly. Hurricane energy, upheaval, destruction, sudden disaster. This is that house of God energy again. Like you bring a lot of chaos with you, but it's not like you're trying to make life chaotic for people. That's not what it is. But that's the impression. It's like every time people connect with you, they're going to have some sort of upheaval in their life. And I feel like there's a lot of people who appreciate that because it's asking them to see things from a perspective that they might not have otherwise gained. And there are others who are just like, oh, every time pile one is around, my whole life, it just totally gets crazy. I can't stand pile one because it just feels like they're just coming in to make my life a living HE double hockey stick. And oh my gosh. And that's, again, they're not taking that value of who you are and allowing it to help them change their lives. They're seeing themselves as a victim of your energetic push for change. And again, it's not something you're consciously doing, and you might consciously do it, but it's something that's very energetic. It's done on an auric level is what this feels like. Oh, yeah, manipulate. Interesting. Use arrangement and strategy. And that's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of people who get a huge upheaval in their life when they try to manipulate you. Like it's like being met with a stone wall, right? They're so used to being able to break through and do whatever they want with people. And I feel like the people who don't like you the most are the ones that are trying to use you and abuse you and to throw you away, right? And so they're trying to do these things with you, but then all of a sudden their life turns upside down and they're like, oh, I probably shouldn't mess with pile one because of that, right? So what impression do you leave? Yeah, interesting. We have Virgo in Mars and Virgo here with criticism. Honesty can be seen as criticism. And there's a line, it says, honesty, even when it's difficult to take, is not a bad thing. But some people will take it, and because it's not what they want to hear, or because it confirms what their emotional ego is feeling, they don't want to accept it at all. They'd just rather attack the person or tell the person they're absolutely crazy or criticizing me. I feel like I always have to defend myself when it comes to you. So there are people here who do see you as critical, but it's also, I feel like this is a 6 1 half a dozen the other, where some see you as critical and some see you as incredibly honest. And just remembering the ones that are seeing you as very critical. I actually moved this. This was the first card that we got, right? And I was really called to moving this behind the manipulate card. I didn't know what they were. And now I see it's like Source is showing you that some people see you as a gift and other people see you as destruction. And that's just because your energy asks people to grow. And that impression is never going to leave. It's just, it's shifting and it's becoming more accurate and more acute the more that you continue to grow spiritually. So I'm going to take a look at this card. I will read this from the book. Again, this is a tarot card. This is not an actual oracle card that I used today. So we're going to see what your overall energy is, the impression, the overall impression that you leave on people with. And that's the Ace of Pentacles, a new beginning on the physical plane. Wow, what a powerful energy to come through. This makes total sense. Like, you gift people healing that helps them renew their sense of connection. You see beyond the illusions of the physical so that people can step into the truth of what the physical is bringing. And that's such a powerful place to be at. Let's see what this says from the book. Excuse me. Prosperous beginnings. Yes, I love this. It was 33:33 on the clock. It says, in the center of even the giant redwood trees, a tiny seedling once stood. Such is the energy of the Ace of Pentacles, or the Ace of Coins. It's the seed that takes root, grounding you for the future. You're in the beginning phases of a prosperous venture. Stay grounded, go outside, and take time to appreciate nature. You may also find a windfall of wealth headed your way. So you're a gift. You are a true gift to people. And that's the impression that you leave with people with, is that you're a gift to them. And there's going to be both sides of that, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, even if people are angry that you're there, like, their soul is thankful that they ran into you, because their soul's like, finally we can start to get to work, or we can start to water the seeds, right? And it might take years, and it might not even happen in this lifetime. It might be lifetimes away, but you're still the seed planter. And that's a powerful thing, right? So this is what I see for you here today, pile number 1. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little angel wing emoji down. Emoji. I've been calling them emojis recently, and I don't know why. That's just what's been coming out. So we're going to roll with it. The emoji. Leave the angel wing emoji down below and say, I spread my wings and fly on this earthly realm, knowing that because I'm an angel, others become touched by love when I meet them. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this powerful message, pile 1. I'm deeply honored I got to connect with you like this. And until next time, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 7th house on it, or if you were drawn to this piece of rose quartz, or maybe perhaps you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what impression do you leave people with. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to have you here. So with that, let's hop to it and find out, what impressions do you leave people with? Pile number 2. What impression do you leave people with? Pile number 2. Source, what would you like to share with us today? I love this. We've got the second house. We have Leo energy and we have Neptune. You are a mystery. You're incredibly confident and you value yourself. When people are left with this impression that you are a no BS kind of person, which you aren't. Yeah, and you're also incredibly loyal. Like, I get this energy that you'll lay down arms, you know, like you'll lay down arms, you'll pick up arms for anybody, right? Like you are willing to walk through the fire for someone that you love and you deeply care about. And that's the impression that people get. It's like you will go to fight for your friends, your family, the people you love, even coworkers, if they, you know, hold a special place in your heart. You're brave, you're courageous, you're outgoing. You leave people with this impression that you are someone who, even though you are goofy and funny and outgoing, you are also incredibly mysterious, and there's a lot of unknowns about you and a lot of things that people don't really know about you, and it's hard to be left with even first impressions or long-term impressions. There's just parts about you that you don't share with people, and it's not that you don't want to, it's just, it's kind of one of those, like, you never asked, so why was I going to share it with you? You never asked. And, you know, I feel like sometimes people, when they find out about it, they're like, why didn't you ever tell me? You might actually even say that. You never asked me, so what was the point of bringing it up? Like, it was going to come up whenever it came up. It's cool. But I'm not going to go and blast myself out like that. Also, you give the impression that you're incredibly psychic or very connected and very intuitive. And that you see beyond into the unknown. You are someone that leaves this impression that people cannot hide from you. So like when people are trying to lie to you, you pick it up right away. You might call them out. You might not. But I feel like your face gives you away. Like, I do feel like you're a very expressive person. So you might not say anything, but your face says it all. Your eyes say it all. Or you might, you know, yeah, you might have a go-to. And it's the way you present yourself that people realize, like, they realize you're no BS kind of person. So if you come to me with BS, you're going to get met with BS. And that's pretty much going to determine how I show up. I feel like you're also very, very much connected to people. Like, you get to know people. And so you give people this impression that you're willing to ask them all about themselves. So much about themselves. And that's what leaves you as this place of being a mystery, because people love to talk about themselves. People love to share everything, every little minute detail about themselves. And it's very human of us, right? Like, that's just something. But, you know, people that I have a feeling there's just a lot of people that you've talked to that they just love to talk. They only wait for spaces so they can continue talking. And you might let people, I do feel like you're really good at cutting conversations when you need to. But I just feel like nobody really asks very much about you. Like, there might be one, maybe two people who know who you are. Like, really know who you are. More than just what people are meeting out and about. And that's the thing, is like, I feel like you give this impression that you're super easy to talk to, you're easy to approach, you're powerful, you're strong, you're confident, you're brave, you do things that most people would be totally scared of. When you talk to people face to face at the store. Ooh, that's scary. You know how some people they're scared. Like, no matter how much you try to elicit a conversation with them or you try to say, excuse me, just to acknowledge them. Like, some people just don't acknowledge you as a person out and about. Like, it's scary for people to talk face to face now. It's a riot. It's a riot. I still grew up in the era where our parents forced us to talk to strangers. Go say hi to that person. I don't know who they are. Just go say hi, because you're going to need that later in your life, right? So seeing it as it is now, I'm sure it's even weird for you. It's like when people just don't talk to one another. You're just kind of like, okay, like, why are we not talking to one another? Why are we not at least acknowledging one another? It's not to say that you have pointless conversations. I don't feel like that at all. But I do feel like there's just a modicum of respect for someone. Like, if you say, excuse me, it's not even an expectation. It's just like, if someone said, excuse me to you, you would acknowledge them. And so it's like, why can't we just do that? Why can't we just have that basic respect for each other? So I feel like that's the impression you give off. It's like you uphold a certain level of respect that you expect to receive, but it's different. It's like, it's almost like that's just your energy. Your energy is like, no, you're going to respect me, otherwise you're not going to have access to me. That's what it is. That's the impression you give. And that could be intimidating to some people too. But let's find out some more. Maybe using the Tarot Marseille, we're going to get some further messages here. What impression do you leave people with? Pile number 2. I keep hearing that. Ain't nobody got time for that. I keep hearing that so loud right now. So it's like, I feel like that's kind of how you are. It's like when people are acting all crooked and sideways, that's, you know, look, ain't nobody got time for that. I gotta go. Mm-hmm. That's what this feels like. So I feel like a lot of people realize is like they're left with that impression that like when they want to come and talk to you, when they are talking to you, like they have to be very direct with you and tell you exactly what's going on. Like, don't beat around the bush. And don't freak out about the reversals. What impression do you leave people with? Whoa. Got stuck under my water bottle. That's how fast it flew out. What impression do you leave people with? Yeah. The 8 of Swords on the bottom. In the upright. Anxiety. Yeah, so some people are very intimidated by you. Let's see what this is. The Ace of Cups. See, that's the thing. Like, you're a very loving and loyal person. You're also very focused on self-love. That's respect. That's what that's coming through. That self-respect is everything to you. It's like, I'm going to respect myself, because when I respect myself, then people are going to respect me. And if they don't, then that is fine. They don't have to respect me, but it just means that they don't also have access to my energy if they're going to disrespect me, right? Like, I'm gone, right? We can't control people. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't conform to society. And so people get this impression that you are always growing spiritually. You're always growing from this place of self-love. And the more that you love yourself, so this could be people that have been around you for a long time and they're watching this progress of you gaining love for yourself, and they're anxious because there could be people here who are used to manipulating you, or used to putting you in, you know, with your back up against a wall in a non-committal situation, and used to still receiving love for you. And it's like you're focused on the wrong thing, right? Like, that's what it feels like here. It's like you're seeing those people as focused on the wrong thing. We're not focusing on that anymore. We got to focus on taking care of ourselves. You could be a guide of some sort, or like even like a coach of some sort is coming in here, or just somebody who, I feel like you want people to be their best versions, but also seeing that not everybody can meet up that. Yeah, this could be family. Family that has a hard time seeing how far you've come. This could be a father figure or a baby's daddy. This could even be like a community, somebody in the community, like a preacher, a pastor, a spiritual leader in the community. But there's this anxiety where it's like you're no longer being affected, or you're no longer feeling guilty about things that you once felt guilty with, things that like they don't want to come to terms with this change that you have. Now you're standing in this very abundant place. And it might be a new place for you, but it's interesting because there's somebody here who, and it could be a group of people, right? Again, the impression that you leave, but this is the energy that's coming out. It's like there's somebody here who's really intimidated by the fact that you love, respect, and honor yourself. So there's somebody here who could be lying to you a lot, and you're always calling them out on their BS. Right? No BS. Like you're like, no BS at all. I'm not gonna walk down that journey with you. So it's like if somebody's lying to you, you're calling them out, or you might not be calling them out, but again, your face is saying it all, and it's leaving them in a place of being angry. And they don't want to come to terms with it. They really think that they're going to be able to get you to go back to an old way of being here. And so the impression is that, oh, this won't last that long. But also the impression is like, dang, how did they figure it out? How did pile 2 figure it out? And so people that aren't necessarily close to you, they see you as someone who commands a lot of respect. You walk into a room, people might get quiet when you walk into a room because your presence is very powerful. And not necessarily like pile 1 felt really loving. Like that was the first thing that it felt like it. And for you, it does feel loving, but it's also just respect. Like that's the thing. I feel like the first impression that you give off is respect, because you've been disrespected a lot in your life. You've been betrayed by people, but disrespect, I keep getting this energy where it's like disrespect is just, that is a deal breaker along the thing. And so it's like, if people who are in your family are disrespecting you, like that's a deal breaker for you. It's like, no, you're going to respect me. So it's like, if you have to go back to those situations, you're the one that's altered the way that you show up in those situations, leaving people very, very uncomfortable, which is fine, right? You don't deserve disrespect. It's fine that they're uncomfortable. They don't have to be comfortable with how you are. You have to be comfortable with how you are. And so that's where you're at right now. But that's the impression that you leave people with, is that it's like you respect yourself and you're not going to put up with disrespectful situations. But I also feel like you're very expressive. Your face is very expressive. You know, in the Ace of Cups, it can really talk about being really connected with Source, right? Really intuitive, really understanding, understanding, seeing some sort of truth that people don't want to see. With Judgment in the reverse, it's talking about something being revealed that no one wanted to be revealed here. So you could be calling people out. Like there's either a person here, or there's a group of people, or just in general, you call people out when they're lying. Like, we don't need to lie. Like, we're all adults here. We can tell the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. And that impression is that, you know, it's again, we can't get one over on pile number 2. That's the principle of the situation. Look at this. We've got Jupiter and Sagittarius principle. Yeah. Right? It's like, why do I feel like Big Worm is coming through right now? It's like, playing with my money? It's like playing with my emotions. Right? And then when he says this, it's like, well, I'm going to pay you back, but I just need some time. And then what did he say? It's the principle. It's the principalities or something like that. It's like that. It's the principle of the situation. That's it. It's like, you know, it's like that. Like, even if you correct somebody and they're like, oh, I'm really sorry. And you're like, no, it's the principle of the situation. Like, you want to be respected, so I deserve respect too. You can't expect me to respect you and you be disrespectful to me. So that's the no BS. Like, that's the energy that you give off right away, is just no BS. You're not going to put up with it. That's why I keep getting all these, like, ain't nobody got time for that? Mm-hmm. Whatever you say. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm just laughing because it's just funny how they're coming through. Yeah, and again with the Pope's hat. Look, the Pope hat here. This is the Pope, right? This is the Pope's hat. And that's the thing. It's like, so spiritually, it's like, this could be someone who's trying to, or people who are trying to spiritually mislead you, or to make it seem like you're not as connected as you are. But we see that you are. Like, you're actually a spiritual leader, and you're very balanced. And that's something that comes out very adventurous and very lucky. So you leave this impression that you're very lucky because you found your way. You found what works for you. And yeah, you're mysterious. I just feel like that's the thing. I feel like whoever this is, they think that you're mysterious, but I mean, maybe you are, but I feel like you're really not. It's just they never ask about you. They only want to talk about themselves, or they only care about what they're going through. And they never ask you, like, well, what do you actually like, pile number 2? And so you give off that impression that you're actually interested in what they have to say, but I do feel like you cut the conversation short. Like, again, it's not meaningless for you. It's like, okay, you know, I understand that sometimes I have to listen, and I will, but I'm really not that interested in it. And so it's like, you'll listen for a while and you'll be like, okay, I really got to do other things now. Yeah. Your house 1 here coming out with individuality, self-image, and approach to life. Like, you give a very strong essence of, you know, don't mess with me. I'm not going to put up with it. Just not going to let you do that. And I feel like there's people here that just really try to test the waters, right? Music with harmony here. Yeah, you're a very harmonious person. You could be really connected to music as well. So, like, musically inclined. You could be someone that sings, or that writes songs, or that, you know, like in the car you sing a lot. Like, you don't have to be doing it for anything other than just something you like to do. But with harmony here, it's like you found harmony. Again, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks of me. It matters what I think of me. And that's the energy that you walk in. And that is the impression that you give to others as well. It's like, I don't care what you think of me. I don't care what others think of me. I care how I feel about myself. And that's the only thing that matters. And that really sets you apart from a lot of people. We have wind with activation here. Yeah, so it's like, I feel like a lot of people blow a lot of hot air at you. A lot of, you know, that's a lot of hot air. That's a lot of BS. Yeah, and that's what has activated this part within you where it's like, no, I'm done. Maybe you were lied to a lot when you were growing up, or like, you know, no one could tell you the truth. You know, situations like that, how frustrating they are when you finally get to the point where you learn the truth, and you never learn it from the people who matter. You always learn it in some roundabout, ridiculous way, and you're like, are you kidding me? You couldn't even be honest with me about that? And it just really, it's irritating. It's very irritating. And I don't feel like you're coming from an irritated place, but you're coming from a very firm place. Very firm. It's like the business mindset, you know? When you're going to business, you can't be a pushover in business. You have to be firm. Otherwise, people are going to walk all over you. And one of these days, these boots are going to walk all over you. Right? Like, that's the thing. And it's like, I feel like there's some people here who are waiting for you to go back to that old version of yourself, but that old version is done. Also, you might find some additional messages if you feel called to, checking out the collective message. That's time-stamped in the description box down below. Yeah, judgment. I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. Like, I don't feel like you sit in judgment of others at all. But I do feel like the impression that you give off is that, like, when people judge you, you just don't care. Like, you might roll your eyes, or you just might be like, okay, and? It's like, even if people judge you to your face, you're like, okay, cool, whatever. Or you have something to say, some kind of witty retort to say back to them. But I feel like that's the thing. Like, you realize that judgment is not, like, it hasn't served you. And you recognize that these people are either going to figure it out for themselves, or they're not going to have access to you. And either way, it's a win for you, right? Like, go on, say what you want. Yeah, healer, energy. We have passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and the spirit, the ability to help transform pain into healing. And then the shadow is taking advantage of those who need help, failing to care for oneself. So really, with the shadow here showing failing to care for oneself, like, that's something that might have been a reality for you growing up. And that's what has switched you into this very powerful, almost aggressive energy, but it's not. It feels aggressive because it goes against what everybody has said is normal. It's a very abrasive energy at times, but it's a necessary abrasiveness, right? And you're also healing others as well too. Like every time you set boundaries and you show yourself respect, you teach others how to treat you, and that's actually very healing, whether they see it that way or not, but it is healing. And so the impression is that you've had to heal a lot, you've had to overcome a lot, you've had to change who you are because of what you've been through, and you've done a lot of shadow work, and through that you give others the impression that that's why you're in that no BS place, right? Or stay grounded. And that's the thing, like, you're a very level-headed person. You keep your feet on the ground. You're very connected as well. Like, even if you're very, very, very spiritual, like, you are very realistic, though. The approach that you have to life is very realistic. It's very logical. And it comes from that place of self-respect and loyalty, self-loyalty. And I feel like that loyalty is given to those people who've shown themselves worthy of your energy. And so that impression is that you're somebody who's a fierce friend, you're a fierce lover, and a fierce family member. But also, you can be very, for people who don't have that energy or who have shown that that's not something that they appreciate, you're very ferocious in the sense of like overbearing or abrasive or aggressive, right? But it's just depending on who it is and the energy that they're in. So we do have seed that came out, nurture, great growth, potential, and possibility. Yeah, so you're very nurturing, but it's nurturing only when it's proven to be a safe environment for nurturing. Like, you're not just nurturing everybody to nurture everybody. That's just not who you are. It's when people prove themselves. It's like, and that's okay. You know, it sounds weird. Well, people shouldn't have to prove themselves, but sometimes when you've been hurt so much in your life, you have to be guarded in a sense, but not closed off. And I don't feel like you're closed off, right? Yeah, you're in this alignment, openness, harmonized, collaboration. Like, you're kind when it matters, but you can also be very fierce when it matters. And that's something that you leave an impression like that on people. Determination, go all out, struggle desperately in belief in victory. You've had to grow in some very difficult situations that you might not have even belonged in, and yet you still somehow managed to make your way through. And that's something that people recognize when they see you. That's that impression that you leave. It's like, I'm determined because I've had to overcome harsh situations. I've had to overcome very unfair situations. And again, especially with the Judgment and the Pope coming out, necessarily it could be family situations. It doesn't have to be. Excuse me one second. Oh my goodness. Thank you. All right, and so we have mutable energy here with surrender, fluidity, and welcoming change. Yeah, you've changed a lot. You've also learned how to go with the flow, right? Can't control people. People are going to do what they're going to do. You can only control yourself. Pride. Yeah, I love myself, and I see myself in everyone. You give that impression off first. You love yourself first, and that's it. That's the first impression that you give, and that's the impression you give to people who've known you for a while. You really love, admire, and respect yourself, and that's a powerful place to be at, because it goes to show people that there's no way that they can treat you that's ever going to draw you away from yourself. Child eternal, we have light attributes with determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes. So you're very open to new experiences, and that's something that you leave an impression on others as well. I also feel like you're sunshine. Like, I feel like you have a very warm personality, and you're very, very bright light. And that is an impression that you leave on with other people, with people. Wow, I'm gonna get there. It's been a week for me, guys. We have shadow attributes as the inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security. Yeah, so there's codependency here at play as well. I feel like the people that want you to go back to those old ways of being are people who have benefited from a codependent situation with you. But for you, you're just not going to go back to that. Mercury, dive into the details. You're very radically honest as well. You don't hide from honesty. You let honesty be your guide. So what impression do you leave people with is peace, harmony, order. Order is the one that's standing out the most here. Calmness and serenity. But it's like order. You need a sense of order in your life, and that's what brings you peace and calm. You could be a planner as well. You could have Virgo highly aspect in your chart. You don't have to, but that is something that's coming through here. You could also have a Leo Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Leo in Neptune. Leo in the second house. And Gemini is coming in for the second house or the 12th house, okay? So, wow, we have Virgo. Yeah, I'm not surprised. We have Virgo in Venus with secrets, or Venus and Virgo. No, Scorpio. Oh my gosh, I had Virgo on the brain. So we have Venus and Scorpio with secrets here. 8th house energy. That's what I was saying. Like, people see you as mysterious. Impression you leave people with is that you're mysterious. You have secrets. You have wisdom. You have knowledge that has yet to be shared. You have knowledge that's yet to be tapped into, or that they have yet to experience themselves. And the thing is, pile 2, is that, like, I feel like that's just it. There's just a lot of people who don't ask. There's a lot of people who don't ask. They don't ask you about yourself. They talk about themselves, or they talk about everything else, but they just don't ask you a lot of questions, and you're used to that. And it's not that you don't want to be known. You just realize, like, you know, the right people are going to ask you when it matters most. And so you're definitely seen as very mysterious. So we're going to take a look at this card. This is actually a tarot card. If you saw the intro, I was just really drawn to using these today. This is the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. And I'm going to read this from the book, but we're going to see what the overall impression is that you leave people with. The 7 of Wands, perseverance, the ability to overcome, and the ability to light fires in others as well. Let's see what it says from the book here. You know, again, I read the Tarot Marseille, so I actually don't use these books very often with this tarot, because I read from the Tarot Marseille. But since we're using them as your pick a card, that's why we're going to read it today. Courage and inner strength. A single wand stands up tall, ablaze with light. The others fall away in the shadow. Such is the story of the 7 of Wands. You'll not find any strength or support from others, only yourself. What a synchronistic message for you, pile 2. It's time to be truly courageous and stand up for your beliefs. You may feel overwhelmed with caution and fear, but your internal fire will guide the way. So, you know, that's really powerful here. You won't find strength or support from others, only yourself. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like you've been burned. You've been disrespected by others, and you recognize that the only way I'm going to succeed in this life is if I have respect, love, and honor for myself. And that's why pride came out as well. So this goes hand in hand with each other. Like, you are someone who leaves the impression of you're very proud of yourself. You support yourself, but above all, pile 2, you respect yourself. And let me just give you a round of applause, honestly, because that is so amazing. So many people struggle with self-respect, but for you, that's kind of been your journey. And that is one of the biggest impressions that you leave people with, is self-respect. And good for you. I'm so proud of you. So this is what I see here for you today. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little fire emoji down below and say, by finally accepting myself and respecting myself deeply, I teach others how to treat me, and I walk away from situations that don't treat me right. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the second house on it, or perhaps you were called to this piece of rose quartz, or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what impression do you leave people with. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. And know that your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply grateful to have you here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what impression do you leave people with. What impression do you leave people with? Source, what would you like to share for pile number 3? What impression do you leave people with? Pile 3. All right, we've got the 10th house, Gemini, and Mars energy. You know, this is interesting. It's like you're very honest about what you do for a living, what you do for work, or what it is that you're building. You're very honest about it. I feel like you've come so far that it's okay for you to share. You know, like, obviously there's certain things you don't share, which you shouldn't. But I feel like you're very honest about your abilities, your skills, who you are. So like if you're building a business, like you're open about that, and that's the impression that people get from you, is that you're not afraid to share what you do for a living. Also, what impression do you leave people with is that you're incredibly adaptable to situations. You are constantly taking action for yourself to make sure that you're keeping up with the changing times. You're a leader, and you stand out. And you stand out in a very powerful way. You're very grounded, very consistent, capable, and I feel like you're honestly a force not to be reckoned with. You have a very clear way of communicating for yourself. And that's in life in general. And that's an impression that you leave people with, is that you clearly communicate who you are. You clearly communicate what you believe. You clearly communicate what's important to you. And that could come from feeling like when you were younger, you didn't have a voice, but now you have a very loud, clear as a bell voice that many people stop to listen to. And there's a lot of this energy where you are proactive about yourself and where it is that you're headed. And so you leave people with this impression that you're never going to stop, right? You're always going to keep going. Even if the road gets tough, you're still going to keep going. You're still going to make strides for yourself. Even if it's one foot in front of the other, at least you're making progress. So it's like, even if I move an inch, I've still made some progress. And sometimes that inch can seem like a mile too, right? Like sometimes it really can, because it feels like you've been really stuck. But I feel like that's the thing. Like, you're just really honest. You're honest about the hard times. You're honest about the good times. You're honest about the less than perfect times. You're very transparent about who you are. And that's an impression that you leave people with, is this transparency. It also makes you more relatable, pile 3. You seem more human because you talk about human things. You talk about things you have gone through and overcome. You talk about how, you know, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to get where I'm going. You're not trying to be robotic either. Like, you know, say you're building your own business and everyone's like, well, you have to work 7 days a week and be on call, you know, 24/7, 365 when you own a business. And I feel like there was a time when maybe that was the philosophy that you had. But I feel like there's this shift where the impression that you leave now, it's like, yeah, I have a business or I am trying to get promoted, but I also value my time, and I'm not going to like sell my soul or sell myself just so that I can move up in life. Like, I did this so that I could have freedom, and I'm going to take advantage of that freedom, even if most people wouldn't. And so there's a lot of transparency here where it's like, you're not trying to be robotic. That's what it feels like here. It's not that you are. It's not that you've ever given off that energy, but it's like so many people expect us to be robotic in our approach to life. Like, we can never miss a day. We can never be sick. We can never call out. We can never mess up, right? That's robotic. That's not life. That's not reality. And so the impression that you leave people with is that you're very down to earth, genuine, honest. And honesty is the thing that's coming out for you, pile number 3, the most here, is that the first impression, the lasting impression that you leave with people is how honest you are. You're a truth teller, and it usually has to do with you speaking your truth. What matters to you? And I feel like that comes from having a blocked throat chakra from being a child, or feeling like you never were listened to as a child, or that people invalidated your experience or what you were feeling when you were growing up. And now you're like, I'm not going to let anybody put me into that position any longer because I'm going to validate myself. And that's something I feel like inspires people, and they relate to you and want to hear your stories. They want to know what's going on with you. They want to see you doing good because they see themselves in you. What impression do you leave people with? So we're going to look at the Tarot Marseille today. What impression do you leave people with? Pile 3. Yeah. You've overcome a lot of negativity. A lot of naysayers too. A lot of people are just blowing smoke out their butts, you know? People who just want to say stuff to make you feel bad just so that they can make you feel bad, not because it has any merit. And I feel like you've overcome a lot of that. Interesting. Okay, let me get the cards out before I talk about this. So, what impression do you leave people with? Yeah. What impression do you leave people with? Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. The 2 of Swords. You outgrew a way of being. I feel like this is also people who've seen you overcome a really difficult relationship, or you share about this relationship. This is something that where if people haven't seen you overcome it, it's a part of your truth that you speak out on, because it could have been something that had abuse or manipulation, or it was just a really overwhelming relationship, and you're like, I'm not the only one that's dealing with people like this, or that has dealt with people like this. And I feel like for you, you're really driven to sharing this part of your experience, not to word vomit or overload people, but like when it comes up, you're very open about it, because you're realizing like, if I went through it, then maybe what I learned from it can be a guiding light for others to help overcome their own situations. And it's not that you expect people to take your words. It's not that you expect people to take your advice even. It's just, if it falls on the ears that needs it the most, then you feel like you've done exactly what you need to do, right? It's like if you impact one person in this world, you have a feeling of purpose. Even if you never meet that person, or even if that person never comes back and says, you know, it's what you said that helped me. Although I do feel like, pile 3, that people do tell you what you said helped me. You know, what you went through gave me clarity on what I'm going through. But I feel like you have this approach to life where it's like, if I impact one person, then I did something good. And that's enough for me. And for you, that's what also makes you human, because you're not out here trying to strive for world domination or even world recognition, even if what you're doing might has the potential to go worldwide, and you may even go worldwide, right? But I feel like for you, it's a much more intimate thing. It's about being the best authentic version of yourself so that you can inspire others to step away from toxicity and to step away from heartbreak and to step away from really difficult codependent situations and come into this place of realizing that we're outgrowing that at an exponential pace, and we don't have to just conform to keep fitting into something because of fear. And that's a very powerful impression. Yeah, you also leave this impression of it's okay to begin again. It's okay to start over. If it's negative, we have to leave that behind, right? We can't just keep letting negativity rule our lives. And that's why I feel like with you being so open and transparent, like you are somebody that's a bit of a sage, or you're very much a sage. Like you just have a lot of knowledge about life because of the hardships that you've gone through. And you may resonate with one of the other piles. If not, that's okay. There's no obligation to watch multiple, but I will put this out there that if you have stuck it out with me for all 3 piles, leave a purple heart down below. It's a part of my Purple Heart Club. I just really appreciate those of you that spend any amount of time with me on these readings. But it's showing here with the 5 of Swords opening your reading how you overcame this negative situation, and that inspires others. It's like I feel like pile 3, you're a very positive person. You've always had a positive outlook. You've kind of always seen life as the glass half full. And it's not a stretch for you to be even more positive. And I think people are thinking like, oh, you're just lucky because you have a positive mindset. But I feel like there's something that you went through where it wrecked your ability to see life as positive. And you had to readapt to what it was to have a positive outlook towards the future. And that came from a broken heart or a relationship that was very, it broke you. The relationship broke you open. It broke the seed of your heart, the gem that lies within. And there's a repairing that has to happen after that, right? And that's what it feels like. It's not that you're broken. It's just that there was something here that was not in alignment with you, and it created a lot of hurt and pain, and spiritual knowledge came from that as well. And I feel like there was times when you felt like you couldn't get out of it. Yeah, the Ace of Swords. But you were given clarity. You were given clarity to leave a situation that was misguiding you down the wrong road and leaving you stuck in your mind. Too. This is like mastery of thoughts. And so what impression you leave people with is that you are a master of your mind, but that you're also a master of your heart and a master of being able to, you might hear my AC turn on and off, just so you know, but you're a master of being able to walk away from situations when it's not in service. I think that sometimes when we think of things like, oh, we can only be connected with people who are of service to us, like that kind of gives it a weird vibe, because it's not like we need to be connected with people who are in alignment with us. And that's not necessarily of service. They could just be people who support us and who cheer us on. Not necessarily people who are going to lift us to the next level in our lives, because that's our job to do. So I feel like this is like you know when to invite people in who are in alignment with you, but you also recognize that there's a lot of people out there who might not be in alignment with you, but need the wisdom that you have. And so you're sharing it. And it's almost like you're a nomad, like you're constantly moving and constantly sharing stories and constantly sharing good love and advice to people and positivity and helping people overcome negativity. I feel like people approach you and just kind of throw their entire story on you. Like you're not doing anything at all, and suddenly somebody approaches you and within 10 minutes you know their entire life story, and you're like, I don't even know your name, but I know what you've been through. And you impart your wisdom. You're like, oh yeah, you know, like that's kind of like a situation that I experienced, and what I learned from it, even though you might not tell them the situation, but you're like, what I learned from it is this, and realizing that, you know, when we hold on to it or whatever, forgiveness or acceptance or this, that, and the other. Like you're giving your wisdom, and they're like, huh, I never stopped to think about it that way, but thank you. And then they leave and it's over with. And you left this impression that like you were so human and relatable that they could use that knowledge and that wisdom to also change the way that they saw it, to bring clarity into their life, to make a choice for themselves. Right? And that's a very powerful energy that you have. You're also very sweet. I feel like you're a very, very, very kind person. Like you remember everybody's birthdays, you remember everybody's anniversaries, like you remember everybody's kids, everybody's parents, like you remember names, you remember important dates. I feel like you have a vast memory for people, and like even if you've only met them a couple of times, like you know and you remember things. Excuse me. And people are always like, wow, it's amazing that you remember that. It's amazing you remember about, you know, what's going on over here. And that impression is that you care a lot about people, and that's also comes with that transparency. Like even if you mess up a date, like it's okay. Like I'd rather mess it up but show that I'm trying. And that's something else that people are really appreciative of. And it leaves the impression that you're somebody that includes everybody, especially when you hold a place in your heart for them. But I do feel like that comes from too, like you connect with the most people at work, or what you do for your work. So that could be clients, that could be you have a platform that you use, that could be that you have a business where you're constantly meeting people, or consultation is coming in, or maybe construction workers coming in, or like a builder, a contractor is coming in, lawyer is coming in as well, especially with Gemini. Lawyer energy is really big here. Yeah, or you travel a lot for work. And so you're always connecting with people. And I feel like you never forget a face. Like that's something else that's coming in really too. It's like you never forget a face. It's like people might forget you, but you remember them. But then the minute that you bring up the situation, oh yeah, you know, I met you 2 years ago and you told me about this situation. And they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought I was going to see you again. Right? That's something that is like really impactful for the people that you connect with. But the impression is that you're somebody who cares, who has a lot of love, and who is able to overcome really negative situations. We've got the moon in Aquarius here with independence, that you're very independent too. And that community energy as well, right? Like even though you have a community of people around you, there's still like some separation from that community. Like you're in the community, again, with work, that's what I was feeling, like you're in community with work. So maybe you have like a whole team around you, you know everybody's names, you know what's going on with everybody, like everybody talks to you, you're really connected with everybody at work. But then when you go home, like that's separate, right? Like that stays separate from you, but it doesn't change who you are, but you're very independent. On the bottom of the deck, interesting, we have Mars in Sagittarius with domination. And I just feel like this is just saying like you're a very forward person with your honesty. So it's like you're dominating whatever it is that you're doing in a powerful way, right? Not in a aggressive way here, but it feels more powerful. This feels like, you know, I'm empowered and I've empowered myself and I want to empower others. And so with Mars in Capricorn, that puts you in this very authoritative energy where you're speaking this truth to people and they need it. Yeah, it's like a spiritual truth, spiritual guidance. Something you do has to do with spirituality, or it's just your spirituality has encouraged you to be more transparent about life. Okay, these two cards flipped over. We have Mercury, like think, learn, network, and communicate. Yeah, so it's the way you communicate what it is, your truth, your honesty, but it's also your ability to network with the community around you. Like these people, you're inspiring a community somewhere. And it doesn't have to be big, right? It doesn't have to be massive, but it could be. That's why I was saying, like, you might not necessarily want something worldwide, but you have the potential to go worldwide. Like, that's what it feels like here. We have cardinal energy with Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Instigation, bravery, and a pioneering spirit. Yeah, you're carving out a path for people to follow in suit. And it's like they see you as a role model. That's the impression that you leave them with, that you leave people with, is that you're a role model. Pile 3 is a role model that I can follow suit. I can make it my own, but they have such good advice that I can make it my own and find what's going to work for me. It's not like they're trying to steal ideas from you. It's just they are inspired by you to try to better themselves. Neptune, dream and transcend. Yeah, so there's spiritual transcendence here. You're definitely led by your heart chakra and your third eye. Your Ajna chakra is like wide open. Blasted open, I think. And that's that energy where it's like you're able to connect with people. You see the pain that they're in. You see the hardships that they're experiencing. You also recognize when people are trying to pull one over on you, but you're not drawn into that, right? Like, I feel like you just kind of keep it short and move on. You might not necessarily be someone that's really like, get out of my life type energy, right? I had that on one of the readings today. Get out of my life. But no, it's like, basically, I feel like you're more or less capable of just saying like, hey, you know, I appreciate you stopping today, but I really got to go. I'm on a time crunch or something like that. You know, when you recognize people are trying to pull one over on you. Like, you're just a person that shows up with kindness and compassion everywhere you go. You're capable of setting very firm boundaries with yourself, but also, I just feel like everything you talk about, it just comes from a place of love. You know, even when people are being manipulative or when people are being strategic to gain access to you, you're still coming from a place of love, which this impression is that people put you on a pedestal. Whether you want to be or not, people do put you on a pedestal. Yeah, eagle with communion, you're very tapped in. This is interesting too, because before I even started the shuffle in the intro, I was talking about this bird that I saw, and I won't bring it back up. You're more than welcome to check it out if you'd like to, but I'd mentioned there that birds might be really symbolic to one of the readings, if not the whole reading today, but yours is actually the only one that's had a bird come out with the eagle in communion. And it's interesting because the bird I saw, we were trying to decipher if it was an eagle or not, but it turns out it wasn't. And I didn't think it was, but again, I was talking to a family member, and so we were just trying to like go through the list of what we thought it was. And it turned out it was closer. It's a cousin of the falcon. And so anyways, you can check that out if you want to, if you feel called to. It's just right before the shuffle in the intro, right after the prayer. And this communion card, though, it's like you're like a vessel that's just kind of like guided around by source. Like, source is kind of putting you, oh, I'm going to put you here because I need your energy here, right? And then, oh, I'm going to put you over here today because we need your energy over here. And then we might have you go this way today because we need your energy that way. And you follow that flawlessly. And so the impression is that you're guided by some higher power. You're guided by the divine. Yeah, tsunami, wake-up call. Like, you're helping people wake up to reality, wake up to their strength, to their internal power, get to higher ground, right? Coming to a higher vibration. It might feel like a huge shakeup at first, but I feel like most people, because of how transparent you are, like, they recognize like you're not doing it with malicious intent. There's nothing malicious about it. And while some people might take it personal, it's like, I feel like after they sit on it for a while, they realize like you had the best of intentions for them, no matter what. Yeah, fear. I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. Like, a lot of people might show up in this place of fear when it comes to you, but the impression that you leave people with is that you're not afraid of others' fear, and you're not even afraid of your own fear. And when people sit with their fear for a little while, I feel like because you're not instigating it or even trying to absorb it, that it gives them an opportunity to realize like, oh wow, I was really coming from a place of fear. Like, I don't need to do that anymore. And so they heal from that. Loneliness. I know that I'm never alone. Yeah, definitely feeling like you're guided by the divine. Like, you might be single. That might be just something that you are someone that's single. I'm happy being single. Like, I'm not really trying to get together with somebody. If I want somebody, cool. If I don't, I don't. Like, it's just not really where you're at right now. I feel like you're really focused on your career and building yourself up and finding stability in this realm. And then again, this idea of the world here, right? This is something that has the potential to go worldwide. Maybe you're connecting women, finding healing techniques for women, reconnecting women to this state of love. You could be helping men to embrace their divine feminine as well. And those are just things that are coming through right now. So it could be anything, right? Okay, and they're showing forgiveness. I thought they wanted to see the card behind here, but I kept trying to pull it apart, and no matter, like, I can't get it to pull apart. So this is forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. You also help others come into a state of forgiveness, which is a powerful thing. So that impression is that you forgive, you have forgiven incredibly challenging situations, and you've done so from a state of love, not to hope to let it go, but knowing that forgiveness, true forgiveness, will help you let go. And that true forgiveness is something that's not as common as you would think. Like, a lot of people talk about forgiveness, but a lot of people don't walk forgiveness. Forgiveness is a walk. It's a daily walk. My mom used to tell me that growing up. Forgiveness is a daily walk. Don't think that it'll go away in a moment's time. You have to keep walking that walk. And then one day, you'll say the words and you'll mean them. You'll mean them from your heart. And I feel like that's something that you've done. There was a really bad relationship that you were in, a really bad situationship that you were in, and you worked on forgiveness, you worked on it, and then one day you really said those words and you meant them. And the impression that you leave people with is that you are someone who forgives easily, but not so that the other person gets away with what they did. It's not even to invite others in. It's just forgiveness to free yourself. Damsel. Interesting. It says understanding the nature of healthy romance. Wow. Again, right? You're helping others see healthy love, healthy unconditional love. It says inspires you to rely on yourself. That's why I feel like for you, it's not about a relationship right now. Like, you're really focused on building yourself up, finding stability within. The shadow is waiting for a knight to provide for you, and seduction by romantic illusion. Interesting. Yeah, so the way you see romance and love is vastly different than a lot of people do, and your transparency actually leaves people with that impression that maybe what I thought love was, it's not. Good for you, pile 3. Oh, we need that so much in the world. Everybody is over-romanticizing everything. And we need people to come back down to reality and realize that sometimes we don't need to romanticize anything, right? Yeah, Chiron, focus on healing. So this is you coming from, going from the wounded healer into the wounded warrior. Or if you want to look at it as the healed warrior, it just depends on how you look at it. But it's like you have become the embodiment of your healing. And that's the impression you leave so many people with, is that you are the embodiment of the healing that you've gone through. You're not afraid of what you've experienced. There's a song, and I can't remember who it's by, but it's called Human. And there's a part in there where he talks about, you're not afraid of your scars. It's like people knock you down, you get back up again. You're so pure, how could you not be a priestess? Like, it's called Human. I can't remember. It's like Silo or something like that. It's a rap song, and it's so good. And it's just called Human. And it's if you guys know what song I'm talking about, could you comment down below? And if not, that's okay. It's kind of like one of those eclectic moments for me. I listen to so much different music. It's like so random. But yeah, definitely check that out if you can. And Human. That's the name of the song, Human. Yeah. Okay. On the bottom, Aries. Yeah, blazing new trails. Helping people to see love in a new way. That's the impression you give others. You help people see love from a new place. A place that they had not considered before. Right? All right, thank you. What impression do you leave people with, pile 3? What impression do you leave people with? Thank you. One more. What impression do you leave people with, pile 3? Yeah, chaos flipping over here. Instability, unrest, unpredictability, and corruption. This is what you went through. This is why you're so stable now. Because you grew in the chaos. And I feel like for you, like, it's a reminder that's part of the transparency is that chaos is a part of life. There's no running away from it, but if we can sit with it and be present with it, we can garner so much more from it, right? Yeah, you went through some sort of transformation here through the fire, rising again like a phoenix from the ashes here. We have carnival, celebration, and ceremony. You also make things very ritualistic in your life. And that's an impression that you leave with people. Like, everything for you is very ritual oriented. Detective. Somebody's got the keen eye. Great powers of observation and intuition. A desire to seek out the truth. Yeah, you're very much driven by your third eye. Your third eye is wide open for sure. The shadow attributes are voyeurism and falsifying information. So, you know, that could have been something that you dealt with in your relationship. Voyeurism, or someone who is, you know, lying to you or trying to make things seem like they weren't. And that's why you became so good at listening to your intuition. The alchemist, you're magical now. It's this transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. Yeah, you're very knowledgeable. The shadow's misuse of the power and knowledge that come through spiritual practice. Yeah, so you're very, very, very knowledgeable, very grounded as well. Terrific with the hummingbirds here. Spiritual healing with hummingbirds as well. Fantastic results, greatness, and great moments. Yeah. So I feel like even though you've been through some really rough times, the impression that you leave people with is that even though life has been hard, I still can be positive. I can still be upbeat. That greatness that's coming through, right? And I felt that from the beginning of the reading. And follow. Yeah, so you definitely lead the way. You're blazing those new trails, and people are following suit to help heal themselves as well. So we have follow instructions, instigation, and faith. You're the shooting star that people have wished upon and maybe didn't know. You know, it's like, I need somebody to help me. And that's why you get moved about from time to time, here to there, and you know, new people connect with you, and it's because you're the wish that's granted to people. Like, they want help, and you're the one that gives them help. It's not you doing the work for them. It's just the knowledge that you have is what brings them clarity for themselves, and that's something that people are really, like, grateful for, pile number 3. So I'm going to take a look at your card. I'm going to read this from the book. This is actually a tarot card. And I explained that in the opening why I use the tarot cards. I was just really called to these today. So we're going to get the overall impression that you leave people with. The Father of Cups, emotional stability, emotional wisdom. Yeah. You're not afraid to be different. Dare to be different is coming in. You dare to be different. But, like, you know, swans mate for life. And I feel like with the black swan here, because they're not as common as white swans, right? It's like there's a rarity where you found it's okay for me to mate with myself. It's okay for me to marry myself. It's okay, you know, like, people are like, oh, it's complicated. But is it really? It's not. It's just you having a very solid, sound relationship with yourself, understanding yourself, and giving that in a transparent way to others, because you're coming from a place of true love for self. And that emotional maturity, it really impacts so many people. But that's the impression that you leave, is somebody who's incredibly emotionally mature. So let's see what the King, or the Father of Cups, has to say for us. Diplomatic and open-minded, seeing both sides of the story. The Father of Cups has a truly unique and dynamic personality. He's the most feminine of all the fathers within the tarot. Isn't that funny? And I was saying, like, bringing the divine feminine, there's something you're bringing back to the world, the divine feminine. And so it's like he's the most feminine of all the fathers within the tarot, and usually a patron of the arts. He's a dignified man who supports his family and community. The only thing holding this man back are his deeply rooted insecurities. They are vast and affect his personality in many unpredictable ways. So, the energy here is just that, like, you are very rooted in your community. You're very connected to others, the network that you have, this very dynamic love run energy that you have. That's the impression that you leave others with, is that you're somebody who is very grounded in how you love yourself and your ability to share that with others. A very, very, very powerful energy you have, Pile 3, and I'm deeply honored that I got to connect with you today and that you're here, because this is a truly beautiful reading. So this is what I see here for you today. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little swan emoji down below and say, by opening my heart and allowing myself to remain positive after my difficulties, I have inspired others to heal, love, and create for themselves. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this message today. And until next time, Pile number 3, stay human. Bye.